Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going great. Hey, I had a question to ask you because I've been, doing a little bit of soul searching, and I don't know if Cal can help us out with this too, but I'm trying to figure out what universe I'm from, and I think that I might be Earth 949, Zach. I don't know. What are you?
Definitely Earth 513 JP.
Earth 513 JP.
Mm-hmm.
Not from the Cleveland zip code. You're changing it to the 513.
No, yeah, definitely the represent.
Yeah. Where was your planet? I mean, like, what's different about JP 513 compared to Zach 949?
Everybody drinks Cincinnati style chili instead of
Oh.
coffee. It's a tough life for me.
Okay, so they drink the chili, and then for the cocktails they pour it over spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about Cal? Cal, are you Earth 949? What's your Earth? Where are you? What universe are you from?
I wish I really knew what universe I was from. I don't know.
Universe 69.
Yeah.
Maybe in an alternate universe, it's Aunt Cal.
Oh.
Oh, jeez.
Your lady.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that mean I'm your niece?
You might be, yeah.
What's your universe's specialty claim to fame?
Oh man, everyone plays guitar with their feet,
That's so gross.
and then they use their hands to hold the music sheets.
Okay.
No,
I do not like feet, so
no,
I would not like it there.
no.
Wait, you got a foot problem?
I do have feet problems, yeah. I don't like people's feet touching me, but that's, I don't want to dive in too much of my personal life
Sure.
out here.
I mean, maybe alternate universe JP is real big into feet.
Loves feet.
Loves
yeah.
them.
Loves feet.
Can't get enough of feet.
Loves those big old hobbit feet, yeah.
The more hair, the better. Well, hey, speaking of alternate universes, why don't we talk about some movies that take place in universes where there are alternate universes? Does that sound like fun?
Are you talking about the multiverse?
No, I'm talking about Tyler Perry's new movie.
Medea goes to the multiverse?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that.
Roll the plot.
Every night, I dream the same dream.
Army of Darkness steward Sam Raimi Daddy directs Benedict Cumberbatch and Wong, starring in Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse Boogaloo. A movie that wants to remind everything everywhere all at once fans that it's not about how great you tell a multiverse story, it's about how many cameos you can shove in. Just kidding. It's actually a story that features Smog the Dragon's mocap performer protecting a young multiverse traveler named Make America Chavez again. This leads to run-ins with winner of the Most Improved from Age of Ultron award, Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch. Coming off the success of WandaVision, Olsen reminds us that the future in the MCU is female and steals the show from our strangely calm protagonist. It's got action, comedy, heart, horror, bananas, eggs, and fabric softener. Actually, sorry, the last bit was my grocery list. It was alright.
Well, John, thank you for that intro. That was really nice. So what does that mean? What did you think of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the 28th Marvel MCU Studios
Is
production?
it already 28?
I think it's 28 or 29 at this point. Not including the television shows.
So here's the thing. We're going to talk about another movie on this little pod.
We
but
are.
for this specifically, I think I enjoy this Doctor Strange more than the first one. However, it just seems like another entry into the theory that all pizza is good pizza, right? It didn't blow me away like some of the more recent MCU movies, like Endgame or No Way Home or anything like that. But it was fun. It was cool to see Sam Raimi do some weird Sam Raimi stuff and like imbuing the comedy and the horror, which I really enjoy. Is definitely like a mix of Evil Dead and Spider-Man at times. I think some of the performances are really good, and others just are, there are people that are just kind of there. But I don't know. It was good. It wasn't like the best thing since sliced bread for me though.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you, Cal?
Yeah, spoiler free, Cal. What'd you think?
Spoiler free. I thought it was okay. I thought it could be very confusing for some people. I also halfway through, I went in not remembering it was Sam Raimi, and then I was like, "Oh crap, this is a Sam Raimi movie," because there were so many things in there that was like, "All right, this is all really typical Sam Raimi stuff."
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Except I don't think his brother was in there.
I didn't see him. He might have been a voice for one of, maybe like the Souls of the Damned or something, but I'd have to follow up on that.
Yeah, but it was so funny. It was just like a revelation in the middle of it, and I think it was like so like Army of Darkness moment for me of like going like, this is vaguely familiar to something else he's made.
What about you,
But
Zach?
I got out of the movie. I definitely was one of those where I was like, I know I'm going to see like Spider-Man: No Way Home again. Like I walked out of that theater going, I'm going to see this movie again multiple times. I left this movie kind of going, I don't know if I'll see this again. I'm glad I saw it for continuity stuff, but other than that, I don't know unless it's like on TV if I would just like go back.
Interesting.
What about you? You probably loved it.
Yes, I am a Marvel fanboy. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very, very good. I kind of agree with the sentiment where it is definitely not the best thing since sliced bread. It's definitely not we just came off of... Phase 4 is weird. Can we all agree that whatever Marvel's doing right now is a little, let's call it jarring?
Yeah, they have COVID to thank for part of that, right? Because they've had to restructure movies that like this was supposed to come out before Spider-Man.
And I think honestly, I would have liked this more, but if we did timeline, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this movie is really good. I mean, I don't think you can argue that the movie is artfully crafted. It's really well done. The visuals are just so unique and interesting, and it's what made the first Doctor Strange really cool with all the mind-bending sort of visual nature of the movie, which I really liked, but I did not think that they pushed far enough in the first Doctor Strange. So I like that this movie definitely feels like a Sam Raimi movie. They were able to kind of let him loose a little bit. Obviously, there's some restrictions, which we might talk about in terms of how far Disney and Marvel are willing to let their creative minds go in terms of letting them off the chain, letting them off the leash. But all things considered, I thought there was some really great bits of levity. I thought the action was all really well choreographed and well done, despite it being like 95% CGI.
It's a lot of CGI.
It's a lot of CGI. So much CGI. The last hour is giving me Phantom Menace flashbacks of just people on blue screens. Obviously, this is much better movie than the Phantom Menace.
I don't know. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, says the guy in his solo shirt.
Yeah, you're talking to two Phantom Menace truthers over here.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
But no, I really, really liked it. I definitely am curious to see where it falls in terms of my rankings for the movies over time, like where it sits on the notch. But
I'm ready to fire out the barrel. Yeah.
I do agree. I do think it's better than the first one. More just because I think that there's just a lot more going on. I like the characters that are in this. I like that they're dynamic. I also really think that they explored Doctor Strange's growth really interestingly in terms of his relationship with Rachel McAdams.
That's the thing, yeah, is that movie just kind of like, that was more of a very, very subplot in the first movie. What I like about this one is, even though they didn't let Sam Raimi completely off the leash, there's enough of it there
for sure
that is more interesting to me than anything like Scott Derrickson did. So
yeah, and I would have been curious to see what Scott Derrickson did with this, but the whole reason, apparently, the rumors were apparently he left due to creative differences. He wanted to make a more straightforward horror movie. Sam Raimi obviously is able to kind of ride that line a little bit more. Yeah. He's much more willing to do what a studio is telling him to do, I think, than Scott Derrickson.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree with both of you. I like the first Doctor Strange movie better.
Okay.
So, but that's also for me coming from I can't believe they actually made a Doctor Strange movie place when it was out, and I was just like amazed with that. But I've seen that movie at least 5 times,
Oh, wow.
I would go back and rewatch that again.
What?
I thought it set up a lot. It's for a character that a lot of people wouldn't know, right? And now Doctor Strange is a name, right? I mentioned it after I went to the movies. I went out after the movie, and I mentioned it to 2 people, and they both went, "Oh my god, I love Doctor Strange!" And I was like, "What world do I live in? What multiverse is this now?"
That's true.
Where everyone knows Doctor Strange.
Definitely true.
So how for you guys being the more comic guys in the room, like I'm much a novice when it comes to comic books, but like how much Doctor Strange do you know? Are you happy with Cal, it sounds like you liked the movie, didn't love it. John, it sounds like you really liked the movie but didn't love it. Like, are you happy with the portrayal that Doctor Strange is getting in the MCU? Is there anything that you would change?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No shots at Benedict Cumberbatch. He's great. And I think, I don't know, Cal, like, I've gone back and read a lot of, like, the Steve Ditko Doctor Strange stuff, and just the visuals from the first and the second movie are really cool. Like, very comic booky, fun stuff, especially him, like, you know, casting different spells and utilizing the cloak and everything. Big fan.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I'm really happy with what they've done with the character, and it hasn't really been out of character at all.
Okay. Well, so it sounds like, I mean, so recommendations before we jump to some spoiler talk, I mean,
you can't not recommend it because, like Cal said, it's continuity. You gotta, unfortunately and fortunately, you have to see every entry.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched Eternals yet, but I also think that this is going to be tough because there's the WandaVision show, and if you didn't see it, this kind of throws it off.
That's true.
I mean, it's for people that don't have Disney Plus, and the two people that told me that they love Doctor Strange, I said, "Did you watch WandaVision?" And they both were like, "No," and I'm like, "Well, okay, you should probably watch that before you watch this movie."
That's a good point.
I mean, we are 27, 28 movies into this universe. We're starting to get to the point where homework is required for some of these smaller projects that aren't Infinity War or Endgame.
I really think in this movie they could have set it up better so you didn't need to see WandaVision, as opposed to, I just didn't think they did a great job of setting up why she was the way she was.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because this movie is not doing very well. I mean, it's doing positively critically, but I think right now on Rotten Tomatoes it has like a 76 or 78% critic recommendation, which is a pretty far step down from like a No Way Home or an Endgame or a...
Well, this isn't anywhere close.
This is
as
not
good as those movies.
not anywhere close.
I would say that seems like pretty fair of a rating, you know?
Sure, I mean, for a rating, like a 7.5 or an 8 is probably where I would land. Like, I'd probably be on the higher end, probably like an 8 out of 10. But
I don't know if I'd go as far as that, but
sure,
we can talk about that after we do some spoilers.
Yeah, but I thought it was fascinating that, like, reading some of the critical reviews, like seeing the recommendation on Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of critics that gave it a negative review or a negative recommendation were talking about how they felt lost or confused and frustrated with the fact that now that there's a lot of other things that you need to know before going into these movies, and to that I say, with the little knowledge I have, welcome to comic books.
Yeah, I was frustrated only for some of the bad horror tropes that were in it that I twice during the movie I threw my hands up like, why?
Interesting.
Yeah, we could talk about that in spoilers because I have one of those too that I thought was pretty funny. So, Cal, Army of Darkness opens with a recap of the first two movies. Should Sam Raimi have made a Doctor Strange and WandaVision recap with a voiceover like he did in Army of Darkness? Because I think that would have been really funny.
Something like that, or even like just a flashback or something with her, like thinking about it and cutting in some stuff from the WandaVision, and where she talked about she had to blow a hole through her husband's head, and I've seen it all, and I went like, okay, was that in WandaVision, or was she talking about ripping the stone out of Vision's head? What was it?
That's what she's talking about.
I think yeah.
But you're right. That's the thing, right? Is there's so much content to mine, and you got to parse it for what you need to know to pick up on. And these movies are catered for repeat viewings so that you can pick up on some of those things. In the same way that, like, you read an issue of Batman and there's an asterisk at the bottom of the panel that tells you about something him and Robin did, and you can go get that if you want.
I got that
it's
vibe.
Up to you.
I got that vibe pretty strongly during this movie, where it's like, I know all this shit because I'm very plugged in, but I was like, man, I can see some people being frustrated with the level of referencing they do for other projects. And this is not, Doctor Strange is not on the level of popularity as a Batman or an Iron Man and stuff like that. And so people don't, I would wager a lot of the people that are going to go see this movie maybe have never seen the first Doctor Strange. Maybe they never watched, like you said, WandaVision. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that this is going to be an interesting thing. I'm really curious to know what, like, casual audiences think of this movie. I could really give a rat's ass what the critics are saying, but and I know Marvel fans are going to eat it up and love it. Like, the reactions I've seen online are overwhelmingly positive for the movie in terms of fans reacting to it. But spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Spoilers.
Show me spoilers.
Show me spoilers.
All right, Cal, what questions did you have? That's where I want to start.
It would be better if I just was able to pop through that portal and be in the room with you now.
Oh, I would love that.
I could try and make that CGI happen. Cal, go like this. Go like that.
What? Like,
Yeah. I'll clip that. Yeah.
like when Wanda comes through that
Yeah.
pier or whatever.
That was tight.
Yeah.
So, Cal has questions. Apparently, Cal has questions.
Did I have? Well,
You said you were
I didn't know,
confused.
I haven't seen Eternals, and so Black Bolt was in this, right? And is there anything I missed from that, or was that just a cameo? And was it the same actor?
Black Bolt's an Inhuman.
Inhuman, okay.
So he's
is it
not
the
in
same actor
Eternals.
I haven't seen the Inhumans TV show then.
He is not the same actor from the show. The show actor is Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones, is Black Bolt.
Okay.
In that show that only had 2 episodes and then they canceled it or whatever.
But you can still watch it now on Disney Plus, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep. Listen, I will tell you this. Nothing from Eternals shows up in this movie.
And I was a little bit shocked by that, too. I thought that there was going to be a little bit more...
What, was Celestials?
I just thought that this movie... Here's my thing, is that I left this movie thinking, like, okay, cool. They let Sam Raimi do what he wanted to do. They had a really straightforward narrative that was about really making Wanda the villain and doing this whole thing with what... She's going after this kid for nefarious reasons, but the reasons that she's doing it are because of her children. And I left the movie thinking, like, wow, they actually stuck to that narrative and didn't really explore much of the multiverse. And that's kind of a pro and a con for me the more that I think about it, because I expected this movie, and we'll talk about this when we talk about our other film that we're reviewing today, but I expected them to go crazier with it and do more with the multiverse and include all these other people and bring in... I thought that this movie was the mutant movie. Like I was saying forever, I thought that this movie was going to do the introduction of mutants in the MCU and maybe the other Eternals or the Celestials or Blade or all this stuff. Like this is the movie to do it because you have this infinite universe to play with. But they ended up telling a pretty small story, all said and done.
I mean, Marvel Zombies could have been a perfect setup as well.
Sure.
I mean, they had a lot of opportunities there. They just didn't do it. Instead, we got Paint Universe.
I think to get it out of the way.
Okay.
I don't know how you guys feel, but I think that Rick and Morty has kind of ruined multiverse stuff for me, in the terms of like. That's the most outlandish multiverse stuff I've ever seen. And Everything Everywhere All at Once is also very well constructed. So I'm not putting shots on that. But like there's a great moment in one of the episodes of Rick and Morty where they continue to run through portals and it's the same scene. It's people ordering pizza, right? Or it's couches ordering people, or it's pizza ordering couches. You know what I mean? And it's like I wanted more of that.
Yeah, me too.
Like I wanted Doctor Strange to walk through something where it's like he sees the same thing in different versions, but we only go really to one universe, and that's the one where the Illuminati is.
Yes, Go ahead.
Where red means go. I mean that's what we got. That was the strangeness, right?
Exactly, and I did not think that the movie delivered on that premise enough. But again, like maybe it's just we're taking too much from other properties or other things, but like. I was expecting this movie to go balls to the walls, and I really thought that it played it pretty safe in terms of the multiverse angle. And it's in the fucking title. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Multiverse of Madness.
Did people laugh in your theater when they said the Illuminati?
Yes, they did.
I mean, it was like loud laughter at that line, and I was like, huh, okay.
Do you think it's intentionally played for laughs? Because I don't think
that's where I didn't go with it. Like I was like,
I didn't either.
That's supposed to be funny because a lot of people found it funny.
I think they have to know going into that mainstream audiences only relate to the Illuminati as it is in our current pop culture and not what it represents in the Marvel comics. So I think that they knew that they were going to get like a chuckle out of that at least. Like, I don't think that they expected audiences to take that seriously.
Carly, when you hear the Illuminati, what do you think of?
I mean, the Dan Brown and symbols on the dollar
Secret
bill.
societies.
Secret societies.
Yeah. There you go.
National treasure.
Proof in the pudding.
National
right
treasure is what I think.
I mean,
all the
like,
Illuminati stuff in there.
I hear Illuminati in a Marvel movie, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna get some Reed Richards, we're gonna get some Professor X, T'Challa, like, and instead it was just like that moment on, it was like nonstop laughter, and then this also multiplies, especially for Zach, who couldn't stop laughing, with casting John Krasinski as Reed.
I could not take him seriously. Jim, what's his name? John Krasinski.
John Krasinski
he has ruined his career for me forever because of him playing Jim Halpert. I cannot see him as a serious character, and I've not seen Quiet Place. So maybe that will change my perception, but like when I saw him on screen, I just could not stop laughing.
So is the only thing you've seen him in before last night The Office?
Yes.
That is a big problem. Yeah. And that's probably true for a lot of people.
I think that that's true for most people.
Although a lot of people saw Quiet Place, so...
Sure, it didn't blow the box office doors up.
No, but it does well on,
But it was on Prime,
demand. Exactly.
Right? It was or Hulu or something.
It was free on Prime for a long time. Yeah.
So speaking of the Illuminati, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't ask the two comic book... Did I pronounce that word?
Remiss.
I would be remiss.
Did you say reminisce?
Yeah.
Are we keeping that in the edit?
Keep it.
Keep it. I would be remiss if I didn't ask what the two comic book guys in my life thought about the Illuminati, because we've been talking about Krasinski as Reed Richards, but how did you guys feel about that sequence?
Cal?
I haven't read as much on that, I think, as you, but it definitely... the changes to who was there and some of the characters, I was kind of like, okay. And, it's later in the movie, there's something that really bothered me with one of those members. And it's not the Reed Richards thing, but it's can the captain stop fighting people that has really had them outgunned, right? In all these movies. And it's like, that shouldn't even be a fight.
Yeah. The Super Soldier is a great program for making talented individuals.
Fight Nazis.
But they shouldn't be able to stop Thanos with one hand or fight the Scarlet Witch. Yeah. That's not how
it was like...
That's like the comic book flaw there for sure.
So frustrating. But at least you got cut in half.
That was pretty that was pretty gruesome.
Yeah, it was.
I dug it though. I love the fact that they introduced them to be killed off Omni-Man style.
Yeah, definitely.
To show how powerful Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I thought like Reed Richards went out way too quick compared to Captain what's her name?
Carter.
Captain Carter, okay. I was I think it was Britain, and I knew that wasn't right.
Captain Britain's a cool character too though.
I like Captain Britain.
In this Illuminati, there's a Captain Carter and a Captain Marvel. But the Captain Marvel is like Photon? Or like Photon's mom?
So that is Maria Rambeau.
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau, who from WandaVision, is Photon.
Okay, so Monica Rambeau's mom was the mom in Captain Marvel, that they were friends and pilots together.
And that's who is in this movie.
And that's who is in this movie. Yeah. Okay, cool.
And wasn't Photon called Captain Marvel at one point?
Yes. It's all interchangeable. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
But in the Illuminati, it's usually Black Panther, not Captain Marvel. And there's also never Captain Rogers or Captain Carter. It's Namor. And I was pissed that they didn't introduce Namor. Because this would have been a great springboard for that.
And again, something that I was predicting that didn't happen. What I was like, this is the next thing we see Kang in. It has to be. We're setting up... And this is what we've been talking about for the last couple years since the start of the pandemic, really, is that like with what Marvel's doing with Phase 4, there's no like cohesion other than the multiversal element that's happening right now with like Spider-Man and now Doctor Strange. and they're kind of dipping their toe into that area with like not Moon Knight. What's the other? What am I thinking of? The other Disney Plus show.
Ms. Marvel?
Hawkeye?
Werewolf
No.
by Night?
No, I don't know. Whatever. But there, my problem. Again, my problem is I was like, well, this is the movie that they're going to show Kang a little bit more. They're going to talk about what's the next threat. What are we supposed to be scared of? What are we supposed to be anticipating? And right now it feels like there's just nothing. And then you come out of this movie and it's like, well, okay, cool. I appreciate, as someone that really enjoys a movie that can stand on its own and this movie doesn't stand on its own, but it tells a story from A to B. It finishes its story. So I like that. But at the same time, there was no setup. And of course we get Furiosa at the end of the movie, which is cool. But
Is it?
I like Charlize Theron.
Cool? I think
like
the
her.
stunt casting's getting a little out of control.
Actors are actors. I mean, they're going to go for the biggest names.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it stunt?
Marvel could make careers for people in the same way that, it made a career for Chris Hemsworth. Star Wars made a career for Daisy Ridley. Like, I'm okay with them casting no names as cool Marvel characters.
Me too.
But it seems like their formula now is cast household names for obscure Marvel characters. Like, no spoilers, Cal. At the end of Eternals, Harry Styles is in it as Thanos' brother, who is a no-name character, really, in the comics, except for some type of celestial. And this felt just like that to me. And I love Charlize. I do. But it's just like, it seems like they're just all about dangling the carrot.
Yeah, who would you have cast his Namor if they actually put him in?
Well, the dream pick of all time is Leonard Nimoy, right?
Well, but
So I would just go whoever plays Spock in the newer Star Trek movies.
Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, sure.
Zachary Quinto as Mr. Nimbus.
Mr. Nimbus.
Well, we've talked a lot about the Illuminati. I mean, I'll toss in my opinion. I thought the Captain Marvel was the weakest of them. She didn't really get to do a whole lot.
She was the last one to die, though.
She was the last one to die?
She survived the whole fight.
Yeah, that cosmic energy really helps out.
Yeah, it really helps. I thought that... who's the other guy? The guy that gets his brain, squished? Black Bolt. Know nothing about that character. It was a cool death scene. I still don't know anything about that character.
Did Scarlet Witch kill him, or did he try to talk without a mouth and it blew the back of his head out?
Correct.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay.
He was charging up, and then she closed his mouth at the last second, and he killed himself.
Yeah.
Now,
it's pretty brutal.
The shot of Black Bolt annihilating their version of Strange was tight as hell. That was really cool. I dug that.
Yeah.
But I'm probably in the 10% of that theater last night that was like, the Inhumans, let's go, baby. Yeah.
But then, you get to Captain Carter, who I thought had a really cool fight scene. I really liked the cut in half by the shield thing. I thought that was a really cool.
You still like the I could do this all day thing?
Yeah, I like that because it's Captain America in every universe. He's the guy that will always stand up. I like that character.
Why isn't she British more? I could do this all day. It sounded more. She sounded like she was impersonating Chris Evans a little bit.
You think so?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, maybe that was the direction.
I could do this all day. I could.
But yeah, but then.
Does he say it in the cartoon though? In the What If?
See, I haven't watched What If.
She does. Yeah.
I watched that one. I don't remember. And but yeah, see, so I mean, she already read that line one time because she did the voice of that.
Yeah.
But people maybe didn't see that, like me. So this is your first exposure to seeing this.
Right.
And the little jetpack thing was like, okay, maybe that's why she lives so long because she can fly around.
Maybe. But then we get to Reed Richards, who I couldn't take seriously. And then he dies.
He just went out too fast.
He dies by being turned into noodles.
Well, he dies because... Well, yeah, he makes himself vulnerable by trying to talk her down so that we could get Jim FaceTime. But, yeah, why are we treating the Fantastic Four like a bunch of pussies?
But, I mean, we can't go on without talking about the elephant in the room, the wheelchair in the room, Professor Charles Xavier. I know you had some interesting thoughts about this when we left the movie.
Yeah.
For one second before we start there, but how badass was that line she said to Reed Richards when she said, "Do they still have a mom?" Because he was like, "I didn't do." That was badass.
That was
great.
I mean, I love the action sequence where she annihilates all of them. It's cool.
It is cool.
And I also like, that they leave that door open for seeing, I'm assuming it's going to be Emily Blunt if they casted him. In this version, I don't know. We got to talk about that potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cal, how cool was it to get the mention of the fact that he already has kids like Franklin and Valeria?
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. Valeria Richards and Franklin Richards are the titties, bro. They're awesome.
I felt like they didn't make his hair as white on the side because they already did it for Doctor Strange and they were trying to differentiate those characters.
I agree, yeah. But I like how they gave him new Fantastic Four comics where he's a little bit older. He's got the beard. I like that. That was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you couldn't see past Jim, but I dug it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
And if it's a one-off cameo, cool. If he's actually in the Fantastic Four movie, I'm also still on board.
I mean, I feel like they have to do that now because it'll throw people off because we're in this world where people can't change characters.
Yeah, that's the question, Cal. Is Doctor Strange in every multiverse that we saw in this movie looks like Benedict Cumberbatch? So does every Reed Richards look like John Krasinski, or is it a Loki scenario where one is Richard E. Grant and the other's Tom Hiddleston?
I think it's a Loki situation. I think that this is a one and done Krasinski deal. But that's just what my gut is telling me. I think that
That's just what your heart wants. Be honest.
I am being...
yeah,
so I will be honest. I will be honest and say I don't particularly
because the majority of the population wants him to be a Fantastic Four, except for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that they're going to pull a switcheroo. I think that the new Reed Richards is going to be much younger. I think the Fantastic Four are going to... Maybe he grows up to be John Krasinski, but he's going to be like a mid-20s something different actor.
Or do you think that they're gonna throw the balance, kind of like they did with the last movie, and change the race of the characters?
Probably.
Maybe. That's it would be an interesting shift to the dynamic of the Fantastic Four from what little I know.
I liked the idea of the last Fantastic Four where Sue and Johnny were half siblings instead. I'm cool with that.
Okay.
So that doesn't really bother me as much because the Fantastic Four is it's a family of misfits. I was talking about it after the movie, Cal. I'm here if they want to just dive right on in, and the kids are already a part of it. You know what I mean?
Oh wow! And the robots and everything, huh?
Yep. But that's just me. I don't know. Let's talk about Xavier because I have one problem.
Tell us your one problem.
I don't want the last Patrick Stewart's appearance as Charles Xavier to be him getting his neck snapped by Wanda. I wanted it to be Logan, which I think is a flawless movie.
Logan is one of the best comic book movies of all time. It's honestly one of the best action movies of the last couple decades.
Shout out James Mangold if you're watching.
Yeah, if you're watching, James, we love you. But yeah, Logan is immaculate.
I don't want Patrick Stewart's last appearance as Xavier to be him getting killed by Wanda and his neck snapped, as opposed to the emotional weight at the end of a franchise that Logan was, where we reach an end of a character journey between him and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. Because
he's in this movie by himself. He's the only person that's made the jump from Fox as his actual character because of Ralph Boner. Shout out. And
or anti-shout out.
Yeah, well, I don't like that joke, and you know that. But again, it's cool to see him in the movie. I love getting the '90s cartoon theme.
Yeah, that was a pop.
I love seeing the yellow hover chair.
Yeah.
But again, it's I almost would have preferred seeing McAvoy be the one that gets outed like a bitch because I just love Logan as a movie so much. But that's just a personal opinion.
Would it have been if they brought McAvoy in and just had the updated costume and everything?
Yeah, I would have been cool with that.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think that Logan is such an achievement to wrap up all of the Fox stuff that I was cool with that being a send-off, a swan song, if you will, for Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart combined.
Oh, we're going to get Hugh Jackman popping up as Wolverine.
I don't want it.
I don't want that.
I really don't want it. I want him to be...
Happen.
He's right, but I don't want him to be right.
I think that Hugh Jackman might have the balls to say no. I think Patrick Stewart likes money. He's doing a second season of Picard.
What do you think though? Like, do you agree or disagree? Like, are you cool? You're cool with him being in the movie and
I'm
going
okay.
out that way?
I'm
Or, like,
okay with
what?
him being in the movie because it doesn't. I don't think that him in this movie does not cheapen how powerful of a performance it was in Logan. I think that movie is still great. Just because that this movie has that character in it doesn't make that movie any less bad. I just think that they didn't utilize him to his maximum potential in this. He gets one awesome scene. The scene of him going to that rock thing and calling out to, like, Wanda, like, the true Wanda, the good side of her, was, like, awesome and really well directed and really well executed. But, yeah, then he gets his neck snapped, and it's like, well, did we really need to bring back Charles Xavier for this? I think that's kind of where I am at.
Yeah, and all I could think of in that scene was like he was trying to pull her out with one hand or something, but all the rocks around her were loose. And it was like, move those out of the way. You could climb out.
I also hated the overt line where he's like, "Well, maybe if I pull you out of this rubble, you'll be okay." That's actually like a line that's pretty similar to what happens.
That's Sam Raimi dialogue right there. Maybe not the best, but
That's where you're like, Tobey Maguire could have given this line.
Raimi didn't rate the movie at all.
Nope.
yeah. Do we know who the writer was for
I
this
don't know
project?
off the top of the dome. No. Cal's
I
gonna
don't
do
know
some
if it's in my
research.
head, but I actually watched in the credits because I was like, did Sam Raimi write any of this?
Interesting.
Seems like Danny Elfman wrote part of it.
Well, I feel like you and me have been talking a lot. Cal, did you? I mean, where do you stand on the Charles Xavier inclusion?
With a different Xavier, I was happy to see him in there. You know, he was the one Illuminati character. Him and Reed Richards were the ones that I was really happy with. So I was happy to see a familiar face, if you will. You know.
Yeah, that's cool. Well,
You loved it?
I think they could have made that longer, like his battle with her, a little bit more. But
In their mind.
you know, she took out the more powerful people quicker than she took out Captain Carter. I'm just going to keep harping on that.
well, she is a super soldier.
Oh my god. Get off the super soldier dick. We should also talk about real quick. Do you guys like Wanda as the villain?
Yes, I thought she was the highlight of the movie for me. I thought that she was great.
Yeah.
I think that we even talked about this before the movie, where you were saying, like, I hope that they acknowledge that she's done some pretty heinous shit.
Yeah, she just held a whole town hostage.
Yeah, and I like that they use that to grow her character and make her a compelling villain. Hopefully this isn't the last we see of her. I mean, we didn't see a body. That's usually the rule. If you don't see a body, they're not
No
dead.
one's dead. Apparently.
No one's dead.
No one's dead.
No one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone unless you're Uncle Ben.
It's the Cyberman from Doctor Who. I apologize, all of the Doctor Who fans that are
Sorry,
watching.
everybody.
Sorry, Whoites.
Whovians.
Whovians. Any other big things to talk about in terms of the story? Did you like the amount of Rachel McAdams that we got?
Yeah, that's actually a
That was
great thing to
pretty
bring up.
shocking.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised at the fact that she had so much screen time. Because that's a complaint that a lot of people have about the first movie, is that she's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Doesn't really do much. I like that in this movie she plays a pretty pivotal role. She's a big part of the second half of the movie.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the talk at the end between him and her where he's like, every version of us feels
Yes.
this way about you. That was pretty cool. That is like the one part that seems very much like they're joining a common theme throughout the multiverses, even though we didn't get to see all the different versions of their two
Right.
characters. Yeah, I don't know. I would have loved, but yeah, I mean, to bring it home a little bit, where do you, I mean, we got the post-credit sequences with Charlize showing up, and bringing him to go on another adventure that involves Dormammu, most likely.
And you looked this up later, is that she's apparently a character named
Clea,
who is the
niece.
niece of Dormammu, the giant space alien.
Yep.
Woo!
That's what I'm saying. Enough of the stunt casting for stupid characters.
So you're saying,
Yeah.
would you be okay with stunt casting for big characters?
Yes.
So you just don't like that they're giving these obscure roles to big name actors.
No, I just don't like that they're trying to force obscure characters that it's gonna be like, oh well, the only way we can make this work is with a big name actor. If you believe in the character, then go for it. Like, you don't have to get Charlize to do that.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Did in the final scene with
Pizza Papa.
at the end of the credits, did people moan?
No, our theater laughed.
We loved it.
Our theater laughed.
People in my theater were like, well, the lady near me was like, we waited through all of that for that. And I was like, wow, okay.
I'm not gonna lie, Bruce Campbell is my favorite part of the movie.
I mean, Bruce Campbell is a national treasure.
The Pizza Papa is my avatar.
Pizza Papa. Yeah, I was secretly hoping that whatever Bruce Campbell would be, because it's like, well, Sam Raimi's making a movie, Bruce Campbell's got to be in the movie. How are they going to work him in? I was hoping that
He'd be Black Bolt?
Or that he would be like
Reed Richards?
Some character, not just hot dog vendor. But I thought that
See, you're trying to go for stunt casting, and Pizza Papa is sweet spot.
So you want more Pizza Papas.
More things like that.
Delta? Did he put the Delta in it? That was the other thing I missed too that I wanted to look up. The car.
Oh, maybe in the sequence with the squid monster at the beginning?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It was Uncle Ben's car, right?
Yeah.
And then it's in every like Evil Dead movie.
R.I.P. Uncle Ben.
My other throw my hands up moment was when they were running through the tunnel, and
she made
it through like every door very easily, and then except for this one, for some reason, that they all stand and stare at for like 5 minutes, waiting for her to run through it, and it was like, keep going, come on. And
I mean, that was all set up for a classic Sam Raimi jump scare thing. I really liked that scene. Had a lot of goodwill built up for me because I really liked how zombie-ified they made Wanda seem. Like, she's like dragging her feet and she's got blood all over her face. It looked like, I don't know.
Was that her blood or was that somebody else's blood?
I think that was other people's blood.
Might be both.
Yeah. How much time we got?
10 minutes.
Perfect. All right. What do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm still sitting with an 8. I think
You're going 8?
I'm going 8. I think it's a really, really fun ride. It's goofy and colorful. It doesn't push the elements that I would have really, really liked it to do hard enough. But again, I think that Everything Everywhere All at Once has spoiled me for multiverse stuff because that movie just does it in such a compelling way, which we'll talk about in a little while. But
Cal?
I'll give it a good solid 7.5.
All right, I'm actually going to go 7.
So you're the lowest on the scale?
But my favorite scene we haven't talked about yet is the fight with the music notes.
That was very Raimi.
Really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Really cool incorporation of both metatextual usage of the score as well as just like fun campiness. I thought that was really cool, especially like when he throws the purple organ notes back at him and it goes like
right.
Yeah, that was but 7's a good score. There's a lot of other movies out there that are way lower than that.
Yes.
But this didn't blow my mind in the way that I thought it might.
Sure, yeah.
That's why I had to watch and see if Sam Raimi wrote it, because I was like, did he really write a Marvel movie that was all centered around books? After he so many movies around his horror movies are centered around books, you know?
Yeah.
Lots of parallels to Evil Dead in this. Lots of parallels.
Doesn't seem like it, but I'm sure, as a producer, he's probably got some sway over how things turned out, for sure.
Do you think he read the first or the draft that they gave, and he's like, "Hey, could you throw some books in here?"
We need 2 books. We need the Book of Vishanti and the Darkhold. Yeah.
Sam Raimi, real bookworm.
Big book guy.
Well, John, we lost Cal.
I'm not over it.
We lost him to the multiverse. He's back in his universe where
Did he look at the bagel?
He may have looked through the bagel.
Oh, fuck.
I know. But we're just going to have to deal with it.
Pour some out for my uncle.
Pour it right on the microphone. So yeah, this episode's brought to you by alcohol.
Sweet berry wine. What are we talking about?
Mrs. Wang. Mrs. Wang. Mrs. Wang, are you with us?
I am paying attention.
Hey everybody, it's another movie from A24. You know, A24. It's that studio that produces really, really unique and engaging films with directors and writers that have a vision for their art and are distributed to the back of the theater's small screen that only the night shift cleans once a week because they're too busy mopping up vomit from the 400th screening of Disney's James Cameron's Avatar sequel. This time, the vision comes from writer-director duo Daniels. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a mind-bending multiverse action comedy drama that defies all categorization and tugs at the familial heartstrings and inspires wonderment of the highest caliber. Doctor Strange outgrossed this movie in one single day.
Sad.
Well, John, we're here, a couple cocktails deep and a couple glasses of wine later, and a nice lasagna, I might add. We cooked a very nice lasagna. And we're here to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once, the movie by A24, written, directed by Daniels, the same guys that did Swiss Army Man. What did you think about this film with a very long title?
I loved it. It's great. I did not see it as soon as you guys saw it. You had to tell me how great it was, and you were like, go see it, it's really good, like go see it in the theater if you can. Finally was able to find a time where I could go see it, and went and saw it by myself. Didn't change the enjoyment of the theater experience for me.
In fact, you had a really positive screening experience.
Screening experience. without diving into spoilers for the movie, I went by myself on like a Monday evening, and I showed up. There were two people behind me in the theater. And I was like, okay, it's just going to be the three of us. I was in the row in front of them because it is reserved seating. I sat down, and as soon as I sat down, like a minute or two later, they got up and they left. And I was like, oh, I might have like interrupted some coitus or something. You know what I mean? Like I might have ruined a date somehow. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to watch this by myself in the theater. After that, two other people came in. And they were supposed to be seated right next to me. And they're like, well, we don't want to creep you out, so we're going to sit in the row behind you. And I was like, totally fine, whatever you want to do. That's cool. I was like, that's really nice of them to mention that, though, instead of actually freaking me out. They sit in the exact seats of the people that had left. So then the people that had left came back. Turns out they just went to get popcorn. I didn't ruin the movie for them. They just were like, we're hungry. So they came back and they were like, oh, they're sitting in our seats. So they sat next to me, a couple seats down. And then as the previews were dying down, a sixth person came in and sat 2 rows behind me. Movie's going on. It's great. We're all laughing. We're vibing. Just the 6 of us. The movie is over. I'm walking out to my car. And the other solo person comes up to me. Not solo Star Wars story. Solo by himself. And he's like, hey, I just wanted to say that movie is really good. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I was coughing the whole time. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I could not stop coughing. Like I think I swallowed my soda down the wrong pipe or something. I was like, I didn't hear you at all. If you have a cough, you must have like the most quiet cough of all time. Because like I had no idea.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, I just wanted to make sure I didn't like mess up your experience or anything. But like, that was a really good movie, right? And I was like, hell yeah, dude, that shit was awesome. He's like, I might see it again. I was like, I think I will too. And then we parted like strangers in the night back to our cars.
And thus the magic of cinema.
Yep. So that was my experience.
So yeah, you had a very positive screening experience. This is a fantastic movie. I think it's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. It's definitely one of the most creative movies. I don't know if this is a movie for everybody.
No.
But I think that the people that it is for, it will hit in a very specific way that will be very impactful and leave a really distinctive mark on you, as it sounds like it did to you as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
did I oversell it? This is the thing, is that we've been talking for a while before you saw the movie. I was talking about, oh, it's this critical darling, it's an A24 flick, these guys that made this small indie production, and then they go on to do this whole big multiversal thing with all these, it's a primarily Chinese American, Asian American cast, but you got Laurie Strode's hanging out in there with everybody, and
what's her name?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
There you go.
Yeah, I know, right.
I just want to make sure you know.
But I talked this movie up a lot because this is one of those good old-fashioned word-of-mouth movies where I think that it's gaining traction because of people talking about it and people going to see it. Right. It does not have this multi-million, so we often talk about box office and budgets on this show. A lot of the times, a movie's production budget, you usually multiply that budget by 2 to account for marketing to see where the movie breaks even. But this movie, I feel like, has been doing a very good job of not over-marketing itself and relying on the fact that the studio knows they have a great movie on their hands, and they're letting good old-fashioned word-of-mouth carry it on. But back to my question, I was talking this movie up. Did I oversell it?
I actually think you undersold it for what it was.
Cool.
I knew it was going to be a fun, whimsical experience into the multiverse based on what you had talked about. What I wasn't expecting was the amount of impactful emotion and heart that the movie had.
Yeah.
I saw it by myself, and I was just there are parts of the movie, without getting into the spoilers of the plot, where I was just bawling by myself in a theater on a Monday, and I was like, you're such a fucking bitch. And I was just this is so good though. It was beautiful. Yeah, I sometimes you just encounter a movie like that hits you at a point when you need it the most,
sure.
Right? Which is kind of what parts of the themes of this movie are, which is that there are things and people that are meant for you for a particular reason. And that was really cool. So yeah. I think it was undersold to me specifically.
Cool.
Because I didn't think I would love it as much as I did. So.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies it's hard to gush. It's hard not to gush about, but at the same time, you want to keep people's expectations in check. I knew a lot about this movie going in. I wish I didn't know half as much as I did going in, but I did see critical reviews. I knew the score was it's one of the highest rated movies of all time on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's there was a lot of buzz behind the movie, and so I went in expecting something really, really immaculate, and I ended up leaving the theater even more impressed because I thought that even the critics' reception, I think, undersold it as well. But
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, great movie. I mean, without diving into spoilers, we'll talk about that here in a sec, but just general consensus stuff. I mean, let's talk about the fucking cast, man. What a cast. Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm going to mispronounce this. Ke-Huy Quan? Ke-Huy Quan. So fantastic. And to do all this on such a small scale, such a small scope. We were talking about this with Doctor Strange when we were talking with Cal, but that movie is it markets itself as this giant multiversal of madness, this giant adventure, but they go through 2 or 3 different locations, maybe 4, maybe 5, something like that.
Easily 3 or 4.
But the fact that this movie is just, it seems like it has such a great scope and scale on such a small budget.
Yeah.
I think that they made this movie for less than $80 million.
It's almost all practical too.
Yeah.
Which is great. The way that they experience different multiverses and display those for the audience like us is so tangible that it's really, really interesting, as opposed to parts of Doctor Strange, which is just we're all paint here, or we're all cubes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just it's really well constructed and real, even though it's a multiverse movie.
Yeah. And we didn't want to talk about it too much while we had Cal on the show, because Cal has not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. But
Loser.
You said something very interesting to me after you got out of your screener. We were talking on the phone, and you said, I think this movie might have ruined Doctor Strange for me.
Which was like what, 2 weeks before we
two
saw it
or
last
so
night?
weeks before we saw it last
Yeah.
night.
It did.
I think it did too. I think it did
definitely
too.
did.
Because yeah, while I think that Doctor Strange is a very inventive and fun movie, this movie just outshines it in virtually every way. Whether
Yeah.
that's the emotional hook, whether that's the visual hook. I like the fact that Doctor Strange is riding off a $250 million CG budget. Like, good for them. It looks cool. But the fact that everything in this movie feels so much more real because it is practical, and we've always championed that, like, on the show.
Yeah.
Practical effects go a long way in making you feel like this could actually work.
There's
like,
puppets in this movie.
There's puppets.
You know how I feel about puppets.
I know how you
love
feel
it.
about puppets.
I'm a big puppet guy. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I don't want to ruin any of it. but-
Exactly. That's the thing, is that
And
you
that's
don't
the
want to
thing
talk
is-
about this movie too much.
Yeah. So we should talk about it. Spoilers. Right?
Yeah. Obviously, I wholeheartedly recommend this movie. If it just left a week-long IMAX engagement, but I checked recently, this movie's still playing in certain theaters, so you could probably still catch this in the theater. If you have a theater near you that's showing this, I know in Cincinnati, both big theater chains like AMC and Cinemark are showing this, as well as still a lot of the art house places around us, like the Kenwood Theater, the Esquire, the Marymount. They're all still showing this movie, so you can go check it out there. I 100% recommend this movie. Movies like this deserve more than what it's getting, and
It's getting a lot.
it's getting a lot.
Again, that word of mouth buzz has helped it stay longer than necessary, right? It's
Yeah.
like Chancellor Palpatine. It's been in office longer than everyone ever thought it would be.
Sure. But it did kind of break my heart a little bit, even though, like, you know, I'm an unabashed Marvel fan. I like the comic book movies. I like superheroes. I like action, adventure, comedy films. But this morning, seeing the box office tweet that was like, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness or whatever grossed X amount of money, and then the director of this movie like retweeted that, quote tweeted it, and was like, this movie has already made as much money as we made in our entire theatrical run in one day with preview showings.
That's tough.
And again, capitalism, right?
Ever heard of it?
Ever heard of it? See what you know. People want to see the stuff they want to watch. So it's like, you know, I'm not going to belabor the point of people of saying like, well, this movie deserves to make more. But in my humble opinion, this is one of those movies that deserves some support in the theater. And there's been a lot of movies like this recently. We talked about The Northman. We both saw Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Movies that deserve way more success than some of the shite that's in the theater. Like, I don't know. Would you recommend this movie?
No, definitely. Definitely. I've been recommending it since I saw it.
We
I got
converted.
we got Connor to
We
see
got
it.
Connor. We converted Connor. That was good.
We got one!
Next up is converting your uncle.
Yeah, he'll see it.
I think he'll very much enjoy this. I feel like a lot of...
He doesn't go to a movie unless it's in Alamo and he missed that window.
Okay.
So he'll probably just watch it at home.
At home when it comes
God,
out.
I love you, but you know I'm right.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, too, is that because this is an A24 flick, like, they're much more cagey about their distribution.
Sure.
So this movie doesn't have, like, catch it on HBO Max in 21 days after the premiere. It's like, no, we don't know where this is going. Like, there's a chance that it might...
If anything, it might be available immediately.
Like on like an Amazon
Yeah,
or something like
to
that,
rent
or a
or buy.
Vudu,
Yeah.
just to buy. And yes, if that's the case, if you can't make it to a movie theater, if you're not motivated to go to the theater for the love of Christ when this comes on video, like, just, it's well worth your $20. I promise you'll have a better night at home watching this movie with a couple cocktails than you would going to. You definitely have a better time than going to like a Reds game.
R.I.P. Are they losing? I'll check.
I haven't checked yet. All right, so we're going to transition to spoilers for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like John said, we don't have much. This is one of those movies that you can talk all about, but it's you don't want to give everything away. But for people that have seen it and you want to listen in, I kind of want to ask.
This is the first question I thought of after I left.
Okay.
What's your favorite reality within the movie?
So the one that I laughed the hardest at was either hot dog hands or Raccoon.
Yeah. Rakaku is my favorite.
Yeah,
For sure.
that shit is fucking genius. And this is what was hurting my brain, was that, like, because you were kind of wavering on the movie too, like before, like when I was trying to convince you to go see it in the theater, I was like, you really should go see this movie. I so badly wanted to tell you, like, there's a Ratatouille joke in the movie that they make and you're gonna love it. But because when I was watching the movie, I was like, this is a John Parker ass fucking comedy bit.
I love Ratatouille. Love that genre.
Sure.
Right? Secret Chef. Big fan. Yeah, Ratatouille is hilarious. The hot dog hands is the first time you see it is fantastic. That's a great Halloween costume this year.
Yeah, you can buy those.
If you can get hot dog hands, just like, that would be really fun to do, honestly. Yeah, those are probably the funniest. I think the reality where Evelyn is pretty much just Michelle Yeoh is also really cool.
I mean, and
very
again,
good
like,
dramatic driver, obviously.
Sure, and to talk a little bit about like how the movie expresses itself visually, like the fact that, you know, and this is another thing, is like Doctor Strange, we saw it it was a really great IMAX presentation. Huge screen, great sound, beautiful quality picture, gigantic screen, right? Mm-hmm. But it's always that is what you're looking at. It's like you're looking through the window of a frame. What I really liked about Everything Everywhere is that it was able to kind of play with the tropes of cinema as well. Certain scenes or universes are shot differently. They're in a different aspect ratio entirely. And so I really like that when it goes to the Michelle Yeoh scenes where she's basically just like a famous actress, it's full frame.
Yep.
And it takes up the entirety of the screen. But then when it goes back to the laundromat or whatever, it's CinemaScope. And you have the black bars. And you have the whatever the aspect ratio. Yeah.
Sure.
And then certain aspect ratios are like letterboxed. It's really really cool the way that they do it. And
it's a mindfuck though.
It is, totally, yeah.
Yeah.
But you never feel, at least I never personally felt lost. There was one scene that I want you to kind of touch on where you were starting to feel a little bit of a headache.
Oh, yeah. Once she has stared at the everything bagel for a long enough time and or jumped into realities that she didn't fully access the jump for, when it starts flashing all of the realities around just Michelle Yeoh's character's face, I actually like felt like I might have had a seizure and I had to look away for a little bit because it was just too much all at once.
Yeah.
But then that leads into the rock scene.
Oh yeah.
Which is gorgeous.
One of my favorite moments.
And very
in the movie,
much like a great like cool down from that moment. So it's not like I'm not holding it against the movie just because I'm a little pussy and I like can't stare at the screen that long. But I felt like I was gonna like lose it for a second. I had to be like, I was like moving back in my chair like away from it, and then I just like looked away for a second. Then it quieted down. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then you have to read for like 5 minutes.
And my filmic side of my brain wants to think that that's intentional.
Oh, definitely.
That they're trying to
make you uncomfortable.
They're trying to make you uncomfortable by showing you this flashing lights and this horrifying imagery. It reminded me of like that scene reminded me of like the Willy Wonka never knowing which way we're rowing, whatever. Because then after that it's that like they pull into the dock or whatever. It's like, all right, thanks everyone for riding the Wonka boat. But then there's that scene which I thought was fantastic, and because it follows this cacophony of sound and lights and visuals and shit, and then all of a sudden, boom, cliffside. It's all quiet except for the sounds of like the wind, and you could hear like kind of like the dust, maybe some birds chirping in the background. But then you have text on screen, and again, like only a movie like this can trust their audience enough that part of the movie that they have to, you know, it's a movie. Like you watch a movie, people say like you go into certain movies you have to turn your brain off, but in this movie I actually think that they ask a lot of their audience.
Definitely.
And I think that makes the experience even that much more rewarding, because you get to a scene like this where it's like there's literal text on the screen to represent the two characters that are in this universe turned into rocks, and they're talking to each other. And unless you're reading that and keeping up with that and understanding what that means in the context of it, you're totally lost. Like,
yeah.
And I think that is a very bold and very brave thing to do in a movie like this. And I don't know. I love that scene so much. And also, again, like, shout out to our theater was very respectful during that time too, because like this is one of those movies where someone could ruin this so hard if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Crying baby, fellatio in the theater.
I'm really glad that none of that happened in either of our theater going experiences for sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the other cool standouts of this movie is just like really fun, grounded action.
Yes.
Both like with the fanny pack scene and
Oh, it's great.
fighting with the guys trying to shove things up their asses. Like
That's the hardest I've ever laughed in a theater. I'll say, and I wasn't expecting it. That is like Chekhov's gun, right?
they show the trophy.
They show the trophy and everyone laughs. They're like, haha, it looks like a fucking dildo or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when they do the snap zoom on the guys when they see it, I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So fucking funny. Oh my God. And again, like, shout out for this movie going full hard with being able to use the full extent of an R rating.
Yeah. The only thing it didn't really have is like a grotesque on-screen sex scene.
No, there's no like.
Which is like
there's no sex or.
It's not necessary. It's very much like a lot of implied innuendos.
And even the nudity is not really like nudity. Like they pixel out the guys like when they're doing all this stuff. Like there's that shot of the guy jumping with the dildo thing or whatever, and it's like all pixelated.
I don't know if I wanted to see Grundle while I was watching a movie.
I say full on do it.
You full send it, run it up.
Cowards. Cowards.
Zach wants to see Grundle, so radiovaniashow@gmail.com. Send your Grundle pics.
Wait, don't do that. Don't. You were gonna get spam emails now.
Russian bots are gonna send their Grundles.
Russian bots.
Yeah. So we're both Indiana Jones fans.
Yes.
We also love the Goonies.
Sure.
Ki Kwan.
Haven't seen the Goonies in probably over a decade.
Delightful to see him again.
Yeah.
He's great. It seems like at parts his character almost is like this guy hasn't aged a day. You know what I mean? He
looks
has
great.
Like, he has this like youthful exuberance and like the things that he does is very fun and playful, and the point of the character, as we discover, is that like in all of the versions of the multiverse, this is like this kind, patient man that is like meant for this family, right? It's just so good to see him again. Like,
Yeah.
He's awesome.
And I think that the fact that they did cast him adds an extra layer of depth for the audience as
Definitely.
well, because like you've
Because
grown
we're
up
like, it's our
seeing
guy.
this guy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's the boy.
And I think that of all the actors they could have picked for that role, I think they did such a smart job. And also, just shout out to his acting chops. Like, there's the whole scene when you're getting the real introduction to the multiversal jumping. What they call it, something specific? What, multiversal skipping or something like that?
I think it might be jumping.
Jumping,
Yeah.
But he's in the elevator and he suddenly switches it on, and he's talking to Michelle Yeoh. Is that he's like, I'm not your husband. Like I'm this different person or whatever. And then he snaps right back into it, where he's like, he gets that like goofy smile, and then he's like continuing to push the stroller or whatever, the wheelchair. I wanna pull up his name too, because, while we don't get too far off of, Ki Hee Kwan. Ki Hee Kwan. Can't wait to see this movie on Blu-ray 4K when it comes out. Hopefully there's like I would watch a 4-hour documentary making of this movie. I would love to see how they pulled off some of these special effects, and shout out to him, because I felt like a lot of the lead actors did a lot of their own stunts in this movie too.
Well, a lot of the people that they cast are familiar with doing a lot of their own stunts, particularly with martial arts and even just basic stunt work in Hollywood and stuff like that, with all the jumping and things required.
Yeah. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I mean, Michelle Yeoh, what a career Michelle Yeoh has had.
She's
it's
also
insane.
flawlessly like beautiful throughout decades, and it's just like,
it's gorgeous.
She's just so funny
Yeah.
and very like grounded, and she's just a great actor to watch in all different types of roles. Like, you have like, she's a Bond girl. She's been in Crazy Rich Asians as the mother. She was just in Shang-Chi last year.
Yeah,
as like
she
a
was.
mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi type. She's a great lead in this movie, who's playing like this matriarchal figure of this family. It's just awesome. Like, but you have all of that emotional weight that she carries, but she's also like in a fight with dildos.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
know,
mean?
right?
It's just like, that's the cool thing about this movie. It's just it's perfectly balanced.
It is,
as
all things should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the goofy humor, it's like, I want to give a huge shout out of respect for this cast for reading this script and like
taking a flyer on
it, because like there's a lot of this movie where it's like, I'm imagining this movie is directed by like Michael Bay, and like how
Everything explodes.
how I would just want to kill myself in the theater. But like,
It's
these
handled
guys were
very
able to put this
delicately.
together. It's very delicate.
It reminded me of the Lego movie a little bit at
Sure.
times.
Yeah. I can see that.
Or like Into the Spider-Verse, like very
Definitely some Spider-Verse
very Lord
vibes in
and
this
Miller
movie. It's very
vibes
Lord and
in
Miller.
this
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
definitely.
It's like, let's handle a broad topic with like real character emotions.
For sure. One more actor shout out I want to give is we would be remiss. I got the word right this time, everybody. We'd be remiss if we didn't bring up James Hong. Big Trouble in Little China, Blade Runner, Seinfeld. Prolific actor, been in the business for such a long time. He's great in this too. I mean, just the whole cast. Like, the daughter was awesome. Stephanie Sue. I haven't seen her in anything else.
I don't know if she's been in a whole lot. I love Jobu Tupaki. Shout out. Great name for a villain.
Great.
It's very like Kaiser Soze rolls off
Definitely.
your tongue kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool thing where it's like if there's a cult following of this movie, you could be like, oh, yo, my boy's being a real Jobu Tupaki right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. The mythology that they create in such a short amount of time is really palatable, which is cool.
And did you see that twist coming?
Yes.
I did not see that twist coming. Like, because they set up the whole thing at the beginning with the daughter, and like, she has a girlfriend, she's embarrassed or she's like worried about what's going to happen if she comes out with her. Her mom suspects some
she's
stuff.
out with their family. It's for the grandfather.
But
right?
James Hong doesn't really know.
Very traditional.
Very traditional family. But so I was like, oh, well, she's more of a tragic figure. But the fact that they turn her struggle into villainy, but then that villainy needing redemption, I thought was like really, really powerful and so great. That last scene
and that's the thing that Wanda really fails at in Doctor Strange.
Ooh, yeah, she just
Spoilers.
kind of goes full evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the last scene with Michelle Yeoh and her daughter in the parking lot, I thought was just like so great. Like after a movie filled with dildo fights and crazy action and fanny pack brawls and shit, like you get to this scene where it's literally just two people talking in a parking lot, and it's got this emotional punch behind it. Like it really is a movie that's like the jack of all trades. It's really hard to, I don't know. It's the title.
It's everything everywhere all at once.
The title is very apt, and
it's very metatextual.
It's very metatextual, and again, shout out to something I wish more movies did is having segments. I'm a big fan of segments.
Yeah. You want to be told when an act is changing.
Yes, I love, but not just that, because I think it represents like. The audience know, like you can tell, like there's a scene in Doctor Strange, probably the end of the first act is the fight scene with the eyeball monster, and then it's like, oh, now we're moving to the second act. We've got this new thing, we have this new person, now we're gonna figure it out. But it just kind of flows. What I liked about this is that they use the artisticness of just having titles, and I love that the title is the title. It's great. I loved it, and it reminded me a lot of like something like The Shining, like summer, like winter, fall, or The Last of Us,
or La La Land.
La La Land, yes.
Yeah.
So I just like I don't know. Clerks, that's right. Yep, Clerks is a good one. So I don't know. Lots about this movie too. Like, was there anything that, I mean, we're being very positive about it. Was there anything that you didn't like? Was there any criticisms that you could draw? I mean, not every movie, no movie's perfect.
Well, some movies are perfect. I don't really have any flaws with this movie.
I think the runtime could have been shortened a little bit. It is long.
What would you cut?
That's the problem. Is that what would you cut? That's the thing. Is that like it's just it's.
If you cost me a Ratatouille scene, I'm gonna kill you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't think there's anything that needs to be cut.
That's the thing. Is that it needs to be cut? No, I'm just for the sake of.
Why can't we just agree that a movie's perfect?
I don't know. That's a great conversation.
I think this movie's a 10.
I think this movie is a 10, but I don't think a 10 necessarily means perfect. I think a 10 means that it's like a masterclass. Well, we're on the Radiovania 20-point scale. We don't go past the 10.
We could add an extra, like...
You want to add a 0.5?
An all at once
Then
category.
we'd have to be a 21-point scale.
It's like Empire, everything all at once.
Whoa. So, hearing John Swansong Parker compare this movie to Empire Strikes Back, that is fucking high praise.
I don't have flaws in that movie either, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have flaws. Like I said, the only flaw, and it's like, I don't even think it's a flaw, just the only criticism. Criticism doesn't necessarily have to be totally negative. I think you could trim the length a little bit. I just don't think that I'm not smart enough to say what you would cut. There is a lot in the very beginning of the movie of establishing, like, the workaday life sort of stuff. But even that comes back together. Exactly.
I don't think... This movie should not be touched. It's like when you... Sorry, George Lucas, but not sorry. When you made Star Wars, don't fucking touch it anymore. Like, you had it right the first time. You don't need to adjust anything else.
You heard him, George.
This needs to be in the film registry. Like, don't fucking touch this movie anymore. It's fine. God.
But Han's a bad character because he's shot first.
Yeah, he's a cold-blooded killer.
He's a rogue, George.
Oh, my God.
Get it together.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would put this on like, the scale of movies, whether you consider them perfect or the audience considers them perfect. I would put this on the scale with movies that I'm like, I wouldn't change anything about it, if that could be a category that we could talk about, which is like, you know, this, Empire, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Fellowship of the Ring. Like, I wouldn't really change anything about those movies. I think they're fine the way they are, and I wouldn't, like... I'm not missing anything, and I don't feel like I've been shown too much.
Yeah, I agree. And again, like I said, I was just doing this for the sake of philosophical.
Yeah, sometimes being
discussion
cute is fine, but like it's not necessary.
It's not necessary. Yeah, but I mean, like, really flaws, like, jokes. Almost every joke landed for me. All the emotional points landed. The story is tight, cohesively in terms of the setups and payoffs. Every character gets a payoff. Every character gets a setup and a payoff and a fulfilling end, like, and the action. I mean, it bills itself as an action comedy, and it delivers on the action. The action's awesome. Like, the fight scenes are well choreographed, and I did want to touch on talk about movies with audience reactions. The dildo fight got the biggest reaction in our theater, just of people laughing, but it also got the biggest. So what was the biggest reaction in your theater? Was it the dildo fight, or?
It was probably the guy that wanted to jump on the trophy and put it in his ass.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Different
same
fight sequence, but
right.
Yeah, same raunchy humor.
But beyond that too, there was another scene in the movie that got a universal disgust reaction from our audience, which is I think a cool thing to have the positives and the negatives in the movie in terms of what you're giving your audience to react to, whether that's a scene of emotional weight, whether that's a scene of comedy, or a scene of uncomfortableness. And there's a scene where they introduce the multiversal skipping, where you have to do a certain thing to then get a power. It's a really cool concept where the idea of how these people are able to, they're not traveling through the multiverses.
They're transferring consciousness.
And it's a really cool concept. And they had this van of people that felt very... Did you ever see Ready Player One? Mm-hmm. It reminded me of the van thing from Ready Player One, where they have, like, the car with all the tech inside and whatever. But anyway.
But better.
But better in every conceivable way. They need to get her some sort of power to fight Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're like, we found this universe where you're really good at, is it the muscle pinky thing, which that cracked me up as well. But it was like, we found this thing with the muscle pinky, like where you're like super strong in one of your pinkies or whatever. But to do this or whatever, you need to give yourself a paper cut between each finger. And everyone in the theater was like, ooh. Everyone's like, ooh. And then she's doing it.
He's like,
they're actually. And I was like shaking my head. I was like, this is wild.
Yeah.
That they're just showing this. And there's like, she gets to one finger and she can't like get it, so she's like keeping going like even harder. And then you have Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, like, she's great too. Like,
oh yeah,
she's so funny. That whole
playing the piano with her feet.
That was great. Oh my god, it was so good. And then there's that. But I just love her introduction as a character. Like, she's this like cocksure IRS secretary woman, like, but she's like, don't you fuck this shit up ever again or whatever. She's like, I win awards for my work or whatever.
She's like, you don't get this for just letting things slide.
Exactly, yeah.
Very funny.
So, I don't know. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up about the movie? Is there any...
The concept of the bagel is really
Sure,
interesting.
yeah, that's definitely something worth talking about.
I love that the idea of just like picking some type of, real world thing that we all have a lot in common as like this nexus point is really funny.
Yeah.
Like the everything bagel. It reminds me of like the Craggle in the Lego movie with the super glue.
Yeah.
But like it's beautiful and funny all at the same time. Every time they flash to that completely black bagel with like sesame seeds and stuff like that, it's
so ominous looking.
It's so funny though.
And then you have the direct contrast, which is toward the end. They have like the son or the daughter, they put like googly eyes on all the shit. The husband does. And then in the very end, she puts the googly eye on the forehead, which in itself is an inverse. You have the white hole in the center and the dark ring on the outside for the everything bagel, and then you reverse it. You have the googly eye, which is the dark center and the white circle, representing like enlightenment. It's just crazy to me that a movie with hot dog finger hands and shit is like a movie that I think is more philosophically sound than most movies that come out.
Well,
now.
Also like one of my favorite worlds that they go to too is where they're piñatas.
Yeah.
And they're like talking to each other and they're like in opposite trees hanging right next to each other. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's just a really creative movie.
And again,
I think you and I both agree that this is like the most creative movie we've seen since Into the Spider-Verse.
My God, like one of the most creative movies I think ever. Just in terms of being able to flesh out this vision. Like everything is so detailed in this movie. Like it is really impressive what they were able to accomplish here. And like I mean, this is an episode where we're talking about multiverse movies, so directly contrasting this to like Doctor Strange. This is what this movie kind of ruined Doctor Strange for us. For me, it did.
I think it would have ruined it either way.
Sure, even if we saw it afterwards, I think
the only thing that would be different is how we feel about Doctor Strange. I think if we saw Doctor Strange first, we would have been like, that was really good. Then we see this and we're like, that's even better.
Sure.
Instead, we saw this first and we're like, this is amazing. And you're like, that's not as good.
Not as good, yeah.
Yeah. But, both totally enjoyable movies.
Totally,
However,
yeah.
This type of movie is like one of those lightning in a bottle moments.
You only get movies like this once in a while.
And you really don't want to miss it. So if you have any cinephile friends that tell you to go see it, like, listen.
Yeah.
And do it.
And this is my problem, is that like I don't want to get super cynical on this podcast because we're just two bearded white guys from the Midwest talking about movies, but it really, I I saw this movie, and then the following weekend I saw The Northman, and I saw the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Great movie.
And over the last couple weeks, I've been hit with this profound sense of sadness in terms of movies, because there is actual art out in the fucking theater right now. Like, people complain about, and I'm not one of them.
By people, you mean Martin Scorsese.
By people, I mean Martin Scorsese. People that are like, oh, I don't go to the movies. Fuck the movies. It's all Marvel movie. Oh, what Marvel's doing their 28th movie? Oh, what Star Wars are we on? It's like, okay, yeah, you can complain about that all you want. Did you go fucking see Everything Everywhere All at Once? Did you go see The Northman? No, you didn't. Because both of those movies
Have you seen the trailer for Men?
Can't wait.
Looks fucking
Can't
terrifying.
wait. Alex Garland, one of my favorite sci-fi writers. Dude is a genius.
Yeah.
I'm sure Men's going to be awesome. Another A24 movie, by the way. These guys, and not that we need to get too deep into this, but A24 is a studio, man. Like
A24 and Blumhouse are the titties.
Blumhouse makes some crap, though. Truth or
They
dare.
make really good shit, though.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if
It
I've
doesn't
seen
matter.
it.
Like, they're extremely profitable because all they do is make low-budget haunted house movies.
Sure, but I've not seen a Blumhouse movie that's really intrigued me from a plot or like interesting uniqueness area.
The Jordan Peele movies, Blumhouse?
Are they? No, they're Monkey Paw. That's his own production company. Maybe Get Out was funded by Blumhouse, but then after that, everything else was Monkey Paw.
Regardless, small studios, small production companies.
Small studios, small production
that
companies.
know what they want to make.
Exactly.
Really cool. And then you have things like A24 that's very much just like artists, do what you will. don't exceed your budget.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, I don't want to talk on my ass about Blumhouse because I've not seen very many movies by them. I just know that they have a reputation for making a lot of like cheapo horror movies and pushing them to like fucking streaming. But A24 might be the most consistent production company of all time. Like,
it's got one of the fuck you, Cal. It's got one of the craziest movies ever,
Midsommar, Hereditary, all of Ari Aster's future projects are going to go through A24. You have the Robert Eggers trilogy. You have this. You have fucking like
Disaster Artist.
Disaster Artist is A24. Their catalog is staggering, and it's mostly quality. Like
Are they the founder too? I feel like they might be.
Maybe. They did a Ghost Story. Did you ever see a Ghost Story with Casey Affleck? That's a fucking great ass movie right there. That's
Swiss Army Man.
A24 Swiss Army Man. Yeah, and that's the thing is that like had you seen Swiss Army Man before this? Yeah. So I feel like people that watch that movie before this might know kind of what they're getting into.
I don't know.
A little bit more.
Maybe the zaniness of it, but yeah.
But Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano.
No.
What are you showing me?
Ave Maria.
Well, John.
Yeah.
I think it's time that we jump through the portal and return to our respective multiverses.
I agree.
But we have to do some multiversal skipping. So what's the thing that each of us have to do to get to the next multiverse?
You have to put that sticker in your mouth.
You have to admit that Solo's a bad movie.
Guess I'm not going to another multiverse.